joining us live from Moscow is Thomas Mundy, equity strategist at Renaissance Capital. So, Thomas, Moscow has been described as nearly at a standstill in recent days. What's the situation now?
Well, actually, this morning it's just cleared a little bit, but I think it's perhaps just a temporary bit of clarity. It's still pretty difficult here. The streets are pretty quiet. A lot of people have left the city. We had a record number of flights out of Moscow last Sunday. Over 100,000 people flew out in one day alone. The markets are pretty quiet. Trading activity is pretty low. Volumes are low. It's not quite a ghost town, but it's a pretty difficult place to operate.
Now, what do you make, Thomas, of the estimates that these fires have already cost the economy $15 billion and that it could shave as much as 1% off of Russia's GDP?
I think they're quite realistic. I mean, there's two ways to look at this. One is the effect of the drought on agriculture, and the other one is the effect of the hot weather on industrial production. Now, as far as agriculture is concerned, well, agriculture is only 3 to 4% of GDP. Yields are down 20–30% or so. So on that side, it contributes, but it's not actually necessarily that huge. But on industrial production, actually it's quite significant. If you look at particularly auto sales, now that contributes 10% of industrial production as an example. Now, at least 3 of the big Russian car manufacturers have pretty much suspended production in August because it's simply too hot to work on the factory floor. So as all that feeds in, I think we'll see a lot of houses starting to revise down their 2010 GDP forecasts, and around 1% seems like the consensus view right now.
And the service sector is also being hit, of course, Thomas.
Absolutely, and we've seen some quite significant drop-off in sales in Moscow over the last couple of weeks. We saw some statistics out on retailers, on restaurants, with sales falling as much as 25% in 1 week alone. People just simply aren't really spending. The only areas that people may be spending is to buy air conditioners. Now, the prices for those have shot up quite substantially, and that benefits the retailers who sell those. But of course, now the government has got their eyes on keeping a cap on price rises in that sector. So generally pretty quiet across retail too.
Thomas, very quickly, Russian GDP figures were out yesterday showing an expansion of 5.2% from 2.9% in the previous quarter. What's driving growth at the moment, and can it be sustained if the oil price drops?
Well, there is a broader recovery in the economy, but there are two factors that are supporting it as well. One is cash for clunkers, and the other is the base effect.
Right,
cash
Thomas.
for clunkers. I mean by cash for clunkers, I mean government support. Take those away, the economy is very reliant on the oil price.
Thanks very much.